So you want to make $1 billion video game, not just ship something decent. Make the game. The one that gets a Super Bowl commercial. The one your uncle, who's never held a controller in his life, somehow has an opinion about. The plan in your head is simple. Build a great open world, add cars, add crime, wait for the money. Great plan. The kind of plan that survives right up until you meet your first invoice, at which point it quietly leaves the group chat and blocks your number. We're going to use GTA 6 as the syllabus, because Rockstar is the closest thing on earth to a company that's actually pulled this off before. Copying their homework is a lot cheaper than repeating everyone else's mistakes, and we're going to look at those too, because the graveyard here is just as instructive as the success story. Step 1. Have a number so large it stops being a number and starts being a mood. Rockstar has never confirmed a budget for GTA 6, because why would they? But analyst estimates and leaked financial filings keep landing between $1 billion and $2 billion in total development and marketing spend. Just staff costs at the UK studio Rockstar North have reportedly run over $2 billion since 2019. Not marketing, not licensing, not the engine, just paychecks for 6 years before anyone outside the building has played a single second of the finished thing. Break that down, and it stops sounding like a number and starts sounding like an entire industry. A production at this scale runs at minimum several thousand people across environment art, character modeling, vehicle physics, mission scripting, an in-house AI team building crowd and traffic behavior that has to convincingly simulate an entire fictional state, and a quality assurance department whose entire job is finding every way a player might break a game the size of a small country. Then there's motion capture, full body and facial, for a cast large enough to need its own credits scroll, which alone can run into the tens of millions once you count actors, a dedicated capture stage, and the artists who spend months cleaning up the data afterward. None of that includes the proprietary engine work, because Rockstar builds its own tools rather than licensing someone else's, which means part of that budget is quietly funding software nobody will ever sell. For scale, GTA 5, the last one, cost an estimated $235 to $265 million to make back in 2013, which at the time was already considered an obscene, headline-worthy number. GTA 6 has conservatively blown past that by 4 to 8 times. The sequel to a video game about committing crimes has become more expensive than most actual crimes. Step 2. Build an army, then wait longer than should legally be allowed. GTA 6 has been delayed 3 separate times, from a planned fall 2025 launch to May 26, 2026, to its current date of November 19, 2026. 13 years will have passed between GTA 5 and GTA 6. In that time, an entire generation of children was born, learned to read, and got old enough to be furious online about a delay. Here's the number that makes "we just need a little more time to get it right" sound a lot less charming. Every month of delay means thousands of salaried employees clocking in to a project that earns exactly $0 until the second it ships. You are not paying for polish. You are paying rent on an entire building full of people, for years, purely on faith that the ending justifies the invoice. Delay it once, and investors call it discipline. Delay it a third time, and they start quietly checking whether discipline and "we don't actually know when this is done" look the same on a spreadsheet. Step 3. And this is the one that actually matters. So pay attention. Don't build a game. Build a nightclub and sell people a $70 ticket to walk past the door. GTA 5 has sold over 230 million copies since 2013, making it the second best-selling video game ever made, behind only Minecraft. That number alone would make most publishers retire happy. But the copies were never the real business. The real business was GTA Online, and thanks to a 2026 data breach that exposed Rockstar's internal analytics, we now know exactly what that business looked like from the inside, instead of just guessing at it. GTA Online launched in 2014 as a free add-on to a game people had already bought. The studio's version of "the first hit is free." Revenue climbed steadily for years, then spiked hard in 2020 when a global pandemic locked an entire planet indoors with nothing to do but customize a virtual nightclub, hitting a reported single-year peak of $743.9 million. Since then, it's cooled off, but not by much. The leaked data shows an annualized run rate of just under $500 million a year as of early 2026 on a game that is now well over a decade old and hasn't received a marketing push in years. Total lifetime shark card revenue, according to that same leak, over $5 billion, generated between November 2014 and early 2024 alone, with more added every single day since. And here's the detail that should be tattooed on the forearm of anyone who wants to make a billion-dollar game. Only about 4% of players ever spend a dime on shark cards. 96% of the player base is just there for the vibes, driving around, causing chaos, contributing nothing to the balance sheet. The entire online economy runs on a tiny, extremely committed sliver of players who treat a virtual garage the way other people treat a mortgage. Average daily revenue across the whole game, over $1 million. Best single week on record, $28 million. One recorded individual transaction came in at just over $1 million. One player, one purchase, more money spent in a single click than most crowdfunded indie games raised in their entire lifetime, so that one stranger's avatar could have a nicer nightclub than everyone else's. So if you actually want to make a billion-dollar game, the lesson isn't write a great story, though it helps. It's this: sell a $70 front door and build an entire second economy behind it that a small, obsessive minority will fund forever. The single-player campaign is the appetizer people talk about at dinner. The nightclub in the back is the restaurant's actual business model. Step 4, understand that spending more money is not a strategy. It's a coin flip with more zeros on it. Because sometimes this doesn't work, and the failures are just as expensive as the wins. Star Citizen has raised over $1.1 billion through crowdfunding, and, as of right now, still isn't finished. Anthem cost hundreds of millions at BioWare, and got effectively shut down within a couple of years. Of a launch nobody remembers fondly. But the cleanest cautionary tale in recent memory is Conquered. Sony spent a reported $400 million developing it, around $200 million just to acquire the studio, Firewalk, and another $200 million getting the game itself across the finish line. It launched in August 2024, styled as the future of PlayStation. On Steam, it failed to crack even 1,000 concurrent players on day one. It sold roughly 25,000 copies in its first 2 weeks. Do the math on that, and you get a cost of about $16,000 per copy sold. You could have bought every single purchaser a car instead and come out ahead. Sony pulled it from sale within 14 days, refunded every buyer, and shut the studio down 2 months later, laying off all 174 employees. Internal reports afterward described a culture where nobody felt safe raising concerns before launch. The executive who did was reportedly pushed out for saying no. The billion-dollar game genre has a graveyard, and every headstone in it says the exact same thing your current pitch deck says right now. This one's going to be different. Step 5. If it works, it doesn't just work. It becomes the most profitable entertainment product of all time. Full stop. GT. A5 alone has pulled in somewhere north of $7 to $10 billion in total lifetime revenue on a $265 million budget. A return most hedge fund managers would commit several actual crimes to achieve. Take-Two's own CEO has guided investors to expect around $8 billion in company-wide revenue in the fiscal year GTA 6 finally launches. Analysts are penciling in $3 to $3.5 billion in the first year alone, and that's before the next generation of GTA Online even gets going. Here's the number that puts the whole gamble in perspective. GTA Online, on a decade-old game with no active marketing campaign, was still generating roughly $500 million a year as of early 2026. At that rate, Rockstar could fund the entire reported $1 to $2 billion GT, a 6 budget out of nightclub money alone in somewhere between 2 and 4 years, without selling a single new copy of anything. They haven't even launched the sequel yet, and the old game's side hustle could already cover most of the new one's mortgage. So here's the actual checklist if you're serious about this. You need billion-dollar money and the patience to watch it burn for the better part of a decade without flinching. You need a live service economy quietly humming inside your single-player game, built to extract meaningfully more from 4% of your players than most companies manage to extract from 100% of theirs. You need a proprietary engine, a motion capture pipeline, a QA department the size of a small university, and a marketing rollout timed so precisely that Take-Two reportedly held its own campaign until after the 2026 World Cup just to avoid competing for attention. And you need the humility to know that Rockstar's exact playbook, enormous budget, well-funded team, years of runway, has, in other hands, also produced some of gaming's most expensive public failures. Spending the same amount of money doesn't guarantee the same amount of taste or the same amount of luck. The box art was never the business. The story was never the business. The business is whether people are still lining up outside your virtual nightclub in 5 years, and no amount of budget, however large, can buy you that answer in advance. Concord had a bigger marketing push than most countries' tourism boards and still couldn't fill a Tuesday night. GTA Online is still printing money on a decade-old game nobody's advertising. Same industry, same math on paper, completely different outcome. And the only difference nobody can put a price tag on is whether anyone actually wanted to walk through the door in the first place. You just have to spend the billion and find out.